The movie opens with a man desperately running through a dense forest, shouting for help. Someone is after him, someone determined to kill. Despite his efforts to escape, the pursuer catches up and murders him on the spot. The next morning, we meet a seemingly normal and cheerful family of four: Keith the father, Kathleen the mother, their teenage daughter Amy, and their young son Jeffrey. They're enjoying a peaceful weekend getaway in the woods, staying in a cozy mobile home. As they grill meat and share laughs, everything appears perfect. Amy, who enjoys her independence, steps away to call her boyfriend. After the call, her father asks her to join them for lunch, but she declines, saying she's not hungry and prefers to take a walk. Keith is irritated by her attitude, but Kathleen reminds him that Amy is growing up and seeking her own space. Suddenly, a car pulls up near their sight. Two strange-looking men, Mitt and Billy, step out and approach the family. They're searching for someone named Miller, who's been missing since yesterday. The men describe him and ask if the family has seen anything. Keith says no but promises to let them know if they do. Amy returns just as they're about to leave, and Mitt asks her the same question. She claims she hasn't seen or heard of Miller. Before departing, Jeffrey offers chocolate to the men, who happily accepts it. Later, the family decides to move on and explore another part of the forest. While driving, they spot Mitt and Billy again, this time stranded on the road with a broken-down car. The family grows suspicious, especially when Kathleen notices a rifle with them. She urges Keith to turn back, fearing it's a trap, but he refuses to panic. Keith insists he'll stay in the car and talk to them from a distance. Mitt explains that they need a ride for Billy to reach a nearby house and get help. Keith hesitates but ultimately agrees to take Billy alone, thinking one man wouldn't pose a threat to them. As they drive, Billy shares stories about his life. He says he lives with his uncle, who raised him after his parents disappeared. He mentions his two cousins, Savannah, a 23-year-old archery expert and music lover, and Julie, 18, who's equally charming. Billy warmly invites Keith and his family to visit them that evening. Keith agrees to the invitation. But then, out of nowhere, Jeffrey pulls out a knife and repeatedly stabs Billy to death. What's truly disturbing is the family's reaction, or rather, their lack of one. None of them are shocked. In fact, they're delighted. Keith, Kathleen, and Amy put on surgical garments, their work clothes, and begin dismembering Billy's body with practiced ease. Keith even offers Billy's eyes to Amy to eat. When they open the freezer to store the remains, it's already filled with other body parts that match the description of the missing man Miller. It becomes horrifyingly clear, the family had killed Miller earlier. This is their dark routine. Meanwhile, at Billy's house, as they sit down for lunch, a knock on the door surprises them, especially since Billy usually carries the house keys. Julie answers the door and finds the friendly family standing outside. They explain that their car broke down and after walking a long distance through the freezing cold, they happened to run into Billy on the road. He told them to come to this house. Neville and Julie warmly welcome them inside. Once in, Keith asks to use a phone, but Julie informs him that they only have one mobile, which Billy currently has. Neville reassures them, saying they're welcome to stay the night, and that Billy will take them to the nearest gas station when he returns in the morning. They all sit down for lunch, and the family compliments Savannah on her cooking. But during the meal, Savannah asks a question that unsettles Keith. If you met Billy, why didn't you come with him in the car instead of walking? Keith freezes, but Kathleen quickly covers for him, explaining that Billy and Mitt had split up while searching for Miller, and that Billy was on foot, not in a car. Just then, they hear a loud thump from upstairs. Julie explains it's Mac, a large, imposing relative. He comes downstairs and joins them at the table. Meanwhile, back in the freezing woods, Mitt is suffering. He clutches his stomach, in pain from the poisoned chocolate he unknowingly ate. Trying to stay warm, he attempts to call Billy, but the phone is off. He leaves a desperate voicemail, begging Billy to come soon. A police officer stops by and offers him a ride, but Mitt refuses, still bitter about a past incident between them. Back at the house, lunch ends and Jeffrey offers dessert, chocolate he brought with him. Savannah and Neville politely decline, but Mac and Julie accept and eat without suspicion. Later, Neville asks Savannah to play something on the piano for their guests. She performs a short piece, and everyone applauds. As the night winds down, everyone heads off to bed. Julie shows Jeffrey to Billy's room. Neville leads Keith and Kathleen to the guest room. Amy is set to share a room with Savannah, but Savannah insists Amy take the bed and offers to sleep on the couch. Amy, however, refuses. In the guest room, Keith quietly tells Kathleen that Mac is the only real obstacle in eliminating the household. He praises Jeffrey for giving them the chocolate, saying that by the time they act, the poison will have weakened their hosts, leaving them unable to fight back. Kathleen grows frightened and asks if he brought a gun. Keith says no, he doesn't want his children to become comfortable with killing. She pleads with him, saying these are good, kind people and they don't deserve to die. But Keith coldly responds that they are directionless, uncultured, and lack ambition. We're doing them a favor, he insists. Before he leaves the room, Kathleen, overwhelmed with anxiety, takes some pills from her bag. Keith meets with Jeffrey to finalize the plan. Jeffrey says he'll take out Julie and Mac, assuming they're already weak from the dessert. Amy will handle Savannah, while Keith deals with Neville. Elsewhere in the house, Savannah is helping her father get ready for bed. She confesses she doesn't trust their guests and feels there's something off about them. But Neville tries to calm her fears, saying, "They seem like good people. They'll spend the night and leave in the morning." That night, Savannah lies in bed beside Amy. Trying to break the silence, Amy pulls out a cigarette and starts smoking, asking Savannah not to tell her father. "He'll kill me if he finds out," she jokes. With a little pressure, Amy convinces Savannah to try smoking for the first time. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the house, Julie is violently sick in the bathroom. The chocolate Jeffrey gave her clearly poisoned. Mac isn't feeling well either and, desperate to use the bathroom, steps outside when he finds it occupied. That's when Jeffrey makes his move. He ambushes Mac, stabbing him repeatedly. As Mac collapses to the ground, Jeffrey wraps a chain around his neck and strangles him to death. At the same time, Keith heads to Neville's room, intending to kill him. But Neville wakes up, alarmed by the noise outside. Keith strikes him with an axe, killing him instantly. Afterwards, Keith finds Jeffrey standing over Mac's lifeless body. Pretending to be upset, he secretly praises Jeffrey, even offering him a reward, a piece of Neville's flesh. Back in the bedroom, Amy pulls out a knife to kill Savannah. But Savannah, in panic, pushes her away, and Amy accidentally stabs her own leg. Shocked, Savannah tries to help and questions why she even had a knife. Amy claims it's for self-defense in the woods. Sensing Amy is just a manipulated victim of her father's twisted ideology, Savannah decides to spare her. Savannah goes to the garage for a first aid kit. But as she moves through the dark space, she hears something strange. She grabs a flashlight and sneaks around, only to see Keith and Kathleen returning from the car, the same car they said had broken down far away. Hidden in the shadows, Savannah overhears Kathleen telling Keith to clean the blood off his hands before going inside. Once they're gone, Savannah inspects the vehicle. Inside, she finds Billy's cap, and in the freezer, the gruesome remains of 3 corpses, Mac, Billy, and Miller. Meanwhile, Julie, still dizzy and weak, stumbles out of the bathroom and into her father's room, only to find him murdered. She screams. Keith rushes in, covers her mouth, and drags her to the kitchen where the rest of the family, Kathleen, Amy, and Jeffrey, are waiting. He tells Kathleen to kill Julie. Terrified and frozen, Kathleen hesitates. Suddenly, an arrow flies into the room, striking Kathleen in the neck. Panic erupts. Everyone hits the floor. Amy is horrified, screaming at her father, blaming him for everything. "You're sick. You need help," she cries. Keith dismisses her, claiming the family was weak, pointless, their deaths justified. Amy begins to suspect Savannah is behind the attack. Savannah sneaks back into her room, grabs Amy's phone, and tries to call for help. But Jeffrey hears a noise and goes to check it out. As he opens the door, Savannah knocks him out cold. Meanwhile, Keith ties Julie to a chair, forcing her to call her sister. She refuses. In response, he slashes her face and breaks one of her fingers. Hearing her screams, Savannah storms in with a weapon, demanding he let her sister go. But Keith puts a knife to Julie's throat, forcing Savannah to surrender. He ties her up too and begins torturing them, even cooking Neville's liver and trying to force Savannah to eat it. She refuses. Just as Keith prepares to cut off Savannah's finger, she stalls by revealing Amy's secret: "Your daughter's using drugs. She smoked with me." Enraged, Keith lashes out at Amy. During the distraction, Savannah frees herself and drives a fork into Keith's eye, but to her horror, he simply removes the eye and eats it. Suddenly, Mitt bursts in and shoots Keith. But the bullet only hits his arm. Savannah begs Mitt to finish him off, but Jeffrey intervenes. In the chaos, Keith grabs the rifle and fights Mitt. Meanwhile, Savannah and Julie free themselves and try to escape. Jeffrey chases Savannah to the kitchen. She throws boiling water on him, then suffocates him, finally ending his life. Back in the living room, Mitt and Keith are still struggling. Keith manages to grab a knife and stabs Mitt in the head, killing him instantly. Julie picks up a hammer and strikes Keith in the head again and again, until he finally stops moving. Just when it seems the nightmare is over, Amy appears behind Julie and plunges a knife into her back, killing her. Savannah, filled with rage, charges after Amy. The chase spills outside the house. But before she can catch her, a gunshot echoes through the night. A police officer, mistaking Savannah for the threat, shoots her in the head. The officer radios for medical help to treat Amy's wounds. But then, he hears something in the trees. As he investigates, Amy silently appears behind him, pulls out her knife, and kills him too. She walks to her father's car, lights a cigarette, turns on the radio, and drives off, as the house behind her erupts in flames. If you enjoyed this chilling story, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon for more horrifying recaps. See you in the next one.